Good morning, everyone. Today we'll learn about DBMS Unit 1. Um, let's start with database. By data, it means known facts that can be recorded and that have implicit meaning. A database is a collection of related data. For example, consider the names, telephone numbers, and addresses of the people you know. You may have recorded this data in an indexed address book, or you may have stored it on a diskette using a personal computer and software such as DBase 4 or 5, Microsoft Access, or Excel. This is a collection of related data with an implicit meaning and hence is a database. So data refers to known facts that can be recorded and have implicit meaning. It represents information in a structured form that can be understood and processed. A database is essentially a collection of related data. For instance, you consider the names, telephone numbers, and addresses of the people you know. You might have recorded this information in an indexed address book or store it on a computer using software such as DBase 4, Microsoft Access, or Excel. This collection of related data with implicit meaning qualifies as a database. A database management system is a suite of programs that allows users to create and maintain a database. As a general purpose software system, the DBMS facilitates the processes of defining, constructing, and manipulating databases for various applications. So, database management system. A database management system is a collection of programs that enables users to create and maintain a database. The DBMS is hence a general purpose software system that facilitates the processes of defining, constructing, and manipulating databases for various applications. Defining a database involves specifying the data types, structures, and constraints for the data to be stored in the database. Constructing the database is the process of storing the data itself on some storage medium that is controlled by the DBMS. Manipulating a database includes such functions as querying the database to retrieve specific data, updating the database to reflect changes in the mini-world, and generating reports from the data. So DBMS allows the following tasks, that is data definition, data updation, data retrieval, and user administration. Let's see what these are. Data definition, it is used for creation, modification, and removal of definition that defines the organization of data in the database. Data updation, it is used for the insertion, modification, and deletion of the actual data in the database. Data retrieval, it is used to retrieve the data from the database, which can be used by applications for various purposes. User administration, it is used for registering and monitoring users, maintain data integrity, enforcing data security, dealing with concurrency control, monitoring performance, and recovering information corrupted by unexpected failures. So, defining a database involves specifying the data type, structures, and constraints for the data to be stored. Constructing the database refers to storing the data itself on a storage medium controlled by the DBMS. Manipulating a database encompasses functions such as querying the database to retrieve specific data, updating the database to reflect changes in the real world, and generating reports from the data. So let's see database system versus file systems. Which one would be better and which one would be used where? So one way to keep the information on a computer is to store it in operating system files to allow users to manipulate the information. The system has a number of application programs that manipulate the files. Keeping organizational information in a file processing system has a number of major disadvantages like data redundancy and inconsistency, difficulty in accessing data, atomicity problems, insecurity problems, and etc. etc. So the disadvantages of file processing system would be storing organizational information. Operating system files has several drawbacks such as data redundancy and inconsistency. Data duplication across files can lead to inconsistencies. Difficulty in accessing data. Retrieving data in a file processing system often requires custom code or applications which can be cumbersome. Atomicity problems. Ensuring all or nothing data modifications are difficult in a file system. Protecting data from unauthorized access is challenging in a file-based system. So now let's learn the need of DBMS. DBMS is useful in the following ways. Ease of accessing data in the file system. Different files are created for each user containing which data they can access. Also in the file system for the user to extract data, there is a need for code or application. DBMS removes redundancy. DBMS removes redundancy by granting access to users and deciding which and how many parts of data is accessible to them from the database. Users can get easy access to data and can also specify the type of data they want to extract. Second is storage and management of data. Data cannot be stored in the form of objects in the file system. The data in the practical world is generally stored in the form of objects and not files. So an application is required to map the data into objects for further usage. In DBMS, the data can be directly stored in the form of objects. The third point is easy and efficient file management. In the file system, the entire database runs for every query operation as files are indexed. It takes a lot of time compared to DBMS, where objects are indexed based on the attribute of data. The complex management of memory becomes easy to handle. With this, retrieval of data is faster than the traditional file system. Fourth point is avoiding duplicates and redundancy. Data normalization is used in DBMS to avoid duplicate data. Fifth is concurrent data accessing. Users can access data simultaneously through different applications in the file system. This simultaneous access leads to inconsistency. DBMS uses the ACID approach to tackle the issue. So let's learn what the ACID approach actually is. So ACID stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So let's see all of these points one by one. So atomicity, it stands for the entire transaction takes place at once or doesn't happen at all. Second is consistency. The database must be consistent before and after the transaction. Third is isolation. Multiple transactions occur independently without interference. Fourth is durability. The changes of a successful transaction occurs even if a system failure occurs. So atomicity ensures that all operations in a transaction are completed. If not, the transaction is aborted. This prevents partial updates that could lead to data inconsistencies. The consistency, it guarantees that a transaction brings the database from one valid state to another, preserving database rules and constraints. Isolation ensures that transactions are executed independently, preventing concurrent transactions from interfering with, with each other, which could lead to data corruption. Durability ensures that once a transaction is committed, it remains permanently in the system, even in the event of a system crash. Advantages of DBMS. So the advantages of DBMS are that it controls database redundancy. It can control data redundancy because it stores all the data in one single database file, and that recorded data is placed in the database. Data sharing in DBMS, the authorized users of an organization can share the data among multiple users. Easy maintenance, it can be easily maintainable due to the centralized nature of the database system. Reduce time, it reduces development time and maintenance need. Backup, it provides backup and recovery subsystems which create automatic backup of data from hardware and software failures and restores the data if required. Multiple user interface, it provides different types of user interface like graphical user interface, application program interface, etc. So database system applications, that is where database system is actually used. So it is used in banking for customer information, accounts, loans and banking transactions. Airlines for reservations and schedule information. Airlines were among the first to use database in the geographical distributed manner. Terminals situated around the world access the central database system through phone lines and other data networks. Universities for student information, course registration and grades. Telecommunication for keeping records of calls made, generating monthly bills, maintaining balance on prepaid calling cards, and storing information about the communication networks. Finance for storing information about holding, sales, and purchases of financial instruments such as stocks and bonds. Sales for customer product and purchase information. Manufacturing for management of supply chains and for tracking production of atoms in factories, inventories of atoms in warehouse stores, and orders for atoms, human resources for information about employee salaries, payroll taxes and benefits, and for generation of paychecks.